Welcome back to the GTN Show.
Yeah, we have loads to catch up on from the T100 in Dubai, the World Championship final.
Yeah, we had bottle littering drama, we had mechanicals overheating, and a whopping $210,000 up for grabs for the series title. Well, first and foremost, as mentioned a couple of weeks ago, we are reaching that elusive 1 million subscribers here on GTN. So first and foremost, thank you so much to you out there that have supported us over the years, those that are already subscribed. But if you're not subscribed, please do right now, because we want to hit that million as soon as possible.
It is quite crazy, isn't it? I mean, do you remember over 7 years ago, like the thought of getting even close to that? It's it's quite cool. I mean, it's enough to make me come back to work.
Oh, good. That's good to hear.
I'm like, I want the glory now.
So that's the.
Yeah, so please
caveat.
click on that subscribe.
If we get 1 million, Heather will come back. So there we go. Cool. Well, things we spotted on social media, various things in the news this past week. Just rattle through a few. Dave McNamee obviously did T100 Dubai this weekend, but he recently announced that this would be his final season, and this was his final race. Which is quite an emotional day. And he even said in his post, day one of normal life starts today. Normal in inverted commas, because, I mean, what is normal?
I was going to say, yeah,
but what I thought was really nice is that the T100 actually put up a finishing tape for him. Obviously, he wasn't in the top three or a winning position, but that's quite a nice touch, isn't it?
That's really nice. I mean, at least they got the finishing tape there. We'll come on to that later on for someone who didn't have a finishing tape. But still sticking with the T100 in Dubai, Sam Laidlow obviously wasn't going to be racing, but was still committed to going out there. And he 100% put all of his effort into cheering. I'm surprised if he's got any voice left after those efforts.
Yeah, there's some good name puns, weren't there, going on? Also, we will get on, as Heather said, to all the details, but a few standout, kind of funny and notable moments. Magnus Ditlev had a mechanical, and what I was quite impressed at, and as the comments sort of also jumped on, was just that F1 pit stop style, how speedy the guys were in sort of fixing that mechanical with his seat post slippage.
Do you think that his seat post dropped just because he had so much weight on the back of that saddle?
It is getting a bit ridiculous. If you haven't watched my secret tech the pros use in Kona video, we sort of get into that, and it's I mean, some of these setups off the back of the pro athletes.
It must change the handling feel. Well, I mean, Alistair Brownlee, who is just known for being incredible cross country and running on all surfaces and being very light-footed, actually fell over in the run on tarmac. Apparently, there was a little bit of gravel under his feet, and it was on a corner at a very crucial point in the race.
And also with such high stack carbon shoes nowadays. Yeah.
It's a bit risky, isn't it?
180 degree dead turns is tough in carbon shoes the best of times. And also, obviously, we can't talk about the PTO and social clips without obviously mentioning Taylor Knibb's incident.
I mean, in the UK, we'd call it Paula Radcliffe, but I mean, I'm not sure if anyone
I don't know if that's
that.
lost on anyone. But yeah, I mean, fair play to her. I mean, what an amazing performance. And we will get onto that very shortly. But all caught on camera, unfortunately.
Yes. But it wasn't just the PTO news going on in World Triathlon, mainly, but there were a few other bits. We've had an announcement from Katie Zaferes along with USA Triathlon, and she is going to be heading up this new training group they've got, which they are calling OXO. I think I'm saying it correctly. A Greek word meaning growth. And basically, they are looking at having a hub in North Carolina to help develop young athletes coming through with men and women, but a bit more focus on the women's side of things to hopefully generate the next champions. And yeah, she's going to be sort of moving straight from being an athlete into coaching that, and she's obviously got a huge amount of experience to carry through.
Fab. We also saw Lucy Charles-Barclay mixing things up with a spin class. I mean, who'd have thought we'd see Lucy Charles-Barclay running a spin class? But while she was out in Dubai, probably doing some media stuff for T100, decided to run a spin class. I've actually joined a spin class before, and I know you have, Heather. They are flipping hard.
Yeah, they are. I mean, they're good fun, but it just seems to be everything is just 100%.
Yeah.
Or it's supposed to be.
Like, when do we recover?
I think she was actually just doing it with her sister. Don't know if she was running it.
Oh, okay. Well, there we go.
So, yeah.
Also, we spotted Georgia Bell, who we've spoken about a few times here on the channel before, bronze medalist for the 1500 from the Olympic Games, but also actually dabbles with a bit of multi-sport, is the 2023 duathlon world champion. But she is out putting in some serious miles on the bike, which is quite exciting. Maybe we're going to see a 2025 comeback for that world title.
Who knows? I mean, I listened to a really interesting podcast after her win, and she says she does a huge amount of cycling anyway. But I mean, for a 1500 metre run, I think it's quite crazy. But quite inspiring as well.
Cool. And one final post, Cam Wurf. Obviously, we spoke about him last week in the show and talking about with age and recovery and how he feels like he's just kind of finding his prime, and actually he's feeling great right now. You may have noticed his account got hacked this past week.
I missed that.
Yeah, so if you invest in any Bitcoin suggested by Cam, you may want to sort that out right now, because obviously it wasn't legit. He was celebrating, obviously, getting his account back, but also he's going to be doing Ironman Cozumel in what's not next week. So quick turnaround.
So we'll still be speaking about Cam Wurf. I mean, he's doing the right thing, isn't he? He's keeping himself in the media pretty well. I like it.
Well, on with the Tri news, and I thought this was quite a cool one to start with. Now, Norseman Xtreme Triathlon, we know, is a very almost prestigious race. Everyone around the globe is fascinated by it, and a lot of people want to do it. Now, there's only 125 spots for Norseman Triathlon, and each year, in order to gain those places, they open up a ballot. Now, they get a lot of people applying for that, thousands. This year, they had the highest number of applicants, though there's 6,304 to be precise, from over 96 countries. And basically, they open up this registration in October of the year prior, and then the race is actually in August, and I believe they've actually picked those spots now. But yeah, 6,304 athletes. And actually, also interestingly, female interest has had a substantial rise, with 9.4% of this year's applicants being female. So that's a 43% increase on previous years. May not sound like a lot, but it's still great, obviously. That is going in the right
direction.
Exactly.
Yeah, let's hope we get, we're never going to get to 50% on an event like that, because it's, well, not because it's mad, because women are mad too, but hopefully it'll keep going in that direction. I mean, you're the only one of our presenter team who's done it, Mark, so we'll leave it there.
Yeah.
On that point, before I have to dig any further, let's move on to the next piece of news from the PTO. Their T100, they announced that they're going to have a race in the French Riviera next year. Well, they have now announced that it's going to be in the towns of Fréjus and Saint Raphael. It's going to be held in May, the 16th to the 18th, and they're not just having the professional race. There's a huge amount going on around it. So we've got a super sprint age group race, an off-road triathlon, a cycle sportif, open water swim. I mean, that's just beautiful water for swimming, isn't it, out there? A 5K fun run, youth events, and a 3-day outdoor expo festival.
Which bit do you like the sound of?
I like the sound of the open water swim.
Oh, right.
What do you think I was going to say? The festival.
The 3-day outdoor expo festival.
Well, I mean, yeah, I could do that as well as the swim, maybe. That's what you had your eye on, was it, Mark?
Spend a bit of money walking around. Right. I don't know if you spotted this ahead of the Olympic Games. I mean, you were probably busy with a newborn baby and whatnot, but Under Paris took Netflix by storm ahead of the Olympic Games. Did you hear about Under Paris?
I mean, it hasn't come up in my recommended watch yet.
Basically, this super mutant shark managed to get into the Seine of Paris. This isn't real life, by the way.
The way you're saying it, I'm like, starting to get
it was a fascinating film, though. Absolutely amazing. And you'll be pleased to hear, because we did talk about it ahead of the Paris Olympics, because basically it all culminated with a World Championship triathlon event, and this shark was was free in the Seine. It was scary. They've got a sequel coming.
I mean, have you had some sleep-deprived nights since becoming a father, Mark?
It did make the Paris Olympic Games very exciting, because, I mean, you did wonder what's going on. So there we go, stay tuned.
Well, our first piece of news in What the Tech comes from Strava. Now, they have just released a new heat map for nights and an overall weekly one. Now, we both had to check this because we thought maybe they already did something similar. I mean, obviously, heat maps have been around for a long time.
I think it's because it does feel like Strava have released a lot of updates, particularly around their maps. And I feel like we've discussed a lot already.
Yeah, maybe that's why. I mean, but anyway, I mean, the night one I think is the most exciting one. They've kind of launched it as we're going into winter in the Northern Hemisphere, and it just makes sense to be able to see where popular places are, which will probably give you a sign of where it might be floodlit for if you're running, for example, or which roads may be quieter if you're going to cycle after hours. I mean, it sounds weird going at night, but actually that's from kind of 4:30, isn't it, really now?
Well, yeah.
In the UK anyway, and if you're further north, then even earlier. So just a nice, and yeah, hopefully it's a bit of a safety thing, of safety in numbers as well. The weekly one, I guess that's just interesting to see sort of places that you might be popular on certain days of the week. I mean, that one I'm less excited about. But
yeah, no, for sure. Also, you may have noticed that we've had a bunch of new T-shirts, particularly our new Kona and Nice T-shirts dropping in the GTN store recently. And well, if you've been eyeing them up, you'll be excited to hear that we are launching our Black Friday deals now. and actually be running through till the 3rd of December. And there's actually a QR code which will probably pop up on the screen somewhere around here. You can scan that, and that's going to take you straight over there. So you can grab some deals now. Well, on to race news, and the big race this week, and just the big topic in triathlon on the whole, obviously was T100 Dubai, the World Championship final, essentially. And, well, yeah, we had some fantastic racing both on the men's and women's side. Starting with the women's race, now Taylor Knibb has been utterly dominant over the T100 distance, winning 3 of 3 races. And it's the bike in particular where she really displays her dominance. And, of course, she is a really strong runner, but I think it's fair to say there are other runners out there that are stronger than Ashley Gentle, for instance. But she's always come off the bike with a buffer that she can hang on to.
Yeah.
But here in Dubai, probably for the first time, we saw her really being threatened on the run. It made it a very exciting race and a bit of almost toing throwing with paces. Now, Ashley Gentle was obviously the one that everyone was kind of watching out for, the big threat there. And she was all in for the win and had a fantastic start to the race, actually hanging on to the back of that lead swim pack. And then out onto the bike course, it was Ashley Gentle and Julie Deron who really hit the front of the bike hard.
I mean, I was really surprised that I guess they just had that game plan, didn't they? Like, we can't let Taylor get away because if she does, that's 2-3 minutes gone.
Yeah, and actually we saw quite a few chaotic moments on the bike course with bottles and the littering zones. Now, Imogen Simmons was, I think, the first actually to kind of fall foul of this. She ended up just missing the litter zone and ended up carrying this extra bottle, which she didn't have space for in any of her cages. And of course, you can't then litter because you'll get a penalty. Yeah. But then if you chuck it down your tri-suit, that is also in breach of rules because of all the... Anyway. And then she found herself going into a corner, obviously needing a break, so she had to drop it in the end, and she had to take a 30-second penalty.
You're literally stuck between a rock and a hard place, and I feel like it's something that they might need to revisit over the off-season.
Yeah, and then also Taylor Knibb ended up ditching her bottle just as she exited the litter zone, and the bottle kind of bounced out of the litter zone. And it was kind of on the fence.
It was on the slope, wasn't it? Oh, gosh, yeah.
But anyway, they didn't give her a penalty, but it didn't take long for Taylor Knibb to charge through and in her typical fashion really kind of surge as she went past. Almost, it looks insane when she goes past the group, doesn't it?
It does make the others look like they're standing still, and if we saw them on their own, it would be flying past us. So, it's kind of just gives a little bit of an idea of just how dominant she is. So actually, it was sort of Taylor's usual gap of 2 minutes 46. She's normally between 2 and 3 minutes lead heading into T2, and that's usually enough, or it has been, as we said. Ash Gentle and Julie Deron had ridden together, and actually Imogen Simmons, after that penalty, had got back with those 3. So they were then the chasers heading out onto that 18K.
Yeah, Gentle went out very hard, very quickly, went into second place ahead of Deron, and by 5K had taken a minute out of Taylor Knibb, and then by 10K was under a minute behind Taylor Knibb. But then in the closing stages, out of the blue, suddenly Gentle started to struggle. She actually stopped, came to a walk, as she seemed to be struggling in the heat. But equally, Taylor Knibb, as we already discussed, was having her own struggles and also suffering the heat a little bit in various ways. But with Gentle actually coming to a walk, it looked like maybe she'll hang on. But then suddenly Julie Deron came charging through and passed Ashley Gentle. I mean,
which I think is a first in the T100 for Ashley to actually get past on the run. But I did see something that she said that she had to just put all her eggs in that one basket, and if she was, it's make or break. Yeah. It was for the overall title, which we'll talk about in a moment.
And I respect that. So it was Taylor Knibb that hung on for the win there. Julie Deron in second and Ashley Gentle in third. And interestingly, Flora Duffy actually had the fastest run of the day.
By quite a bit as well.
Yeah, and finished in fourth place, just ahead of Kat Matthews in fifth. Which brings us on to the series standings, which was all to play for, obviously, here. Taylor Knibb managed to hang on to that win. I mean...
You say hang on.
I was saying hang on, sorry. Quite comfortably took that win. Ahead of Ashley Gentle in second, Julie Deron in third, Kat Matthews in fourth, and Flora Duffy in fifth. Now, for first place, obviously, Taylor Knibb has taken home $210,000 US just for the series win, on top of all the other earnings.
And the win from that, a pretty good trip to Dubai, isn't it? Worthwhile for her, that's for sure. yeah, awesome to see. So then we had, obviously, the men's race was the next day. Apparently it was even hotter for the men's event. And all eyes were on Martin van Riel as he had won 2. He had actually lost to Jelle Geens in Las Vegas, but Jelle Geens not being on the start list, it did kind of look like, well, you know, it's Van Riel's to lose. He was basically had to finish first, second or third, I think, to take the overall title. So he went out hard on the swim, but it ended up being a big group. Aaron Royal took the lead in the end coming into T1, but it was a group of 13 of them actually coming out onto the bike, and there were some big hitters in that group.
Yeah, and Magnus Ditlev notably was a little over a minute off the back of that, and then Sam Long, 4 minutes 17 adrift.
I know, it's so painful, isn't it, to watch?
I mean, he's had a busy and long season as well.
True.
Mathis Margier was the first, though, to push on the bike and take to the front. And then, obviously, in that group, we had Van Riel, Brownlee, Fred Funk, Bogan, Smith, all trying to do their best to hold on to that pace because it was hot.
Yeah, and then poor Ditlev, he was closing quite considerably, as you would expect, and then that, I think it lost him a minute and he just ended up being in no man's land. And he was second in the standing, so he was one that really could potentially mix things up, but he just, I think, had to do his own race, and it was a tough day out there for the Dane.
Well, Magnus actually came into T2 1 minute and 35 seconds down on that lead group, which I've got to say is very impressive considering the power that was in that front group ahead of him whilst he was sort of essentially solo. Now, the run got underway and it was Bogan actually who quickly joined Van Riel and Smith, almost in a replay of San Francisco. And Brownlee, just off the back of that, trying to keep them in sight, but actually losing a little bit of time. But as we expected, I mean, Van Riel was just on another level again, and he just dropped them one by one. Firstly, it was Kyle, and then Rico. Yeah,
and I think actually Kyle maybe burnt his matches by trying to stay with Van Riel for a little bit longer because it then Alistair Brownlee then had him in sight, and it was just after that little stumble on the corner that Brownlee overtook Kyle Smith to get his first podium finish.
Can't believe that.
Yeah,
it's crazy,
it kind of
isn't
feels
it?
a bit, he's had lots of fourths, hasn't he?
Yeah, but I'm also very pleased and happy.
I think
so Van Riel obviously took the win there ahead of Rico Bogan in second. Fantastic performance by him. Alistair Brownlee in third. Carl Smith hanging on for fourth, and Mathis Margier in fifth. So on to the series standings. No surprises. Martin Van Riel took the win there. Second for Kyle Smith.
Yeah, I mean,
what a season. Rico Bogan also fantastic. Third place. Magnus Ditlev in fourth, and Alistair actually managing to get fifth, which kind of shows, although he hasn't quite got on the podium, he's had some, up and down results. He's obviously been quite consistent through the year with all his races. And I actually quite enjoyed, I don't know if you saw this this Instagram post from Iron Memes. It said Martin Van Riel's way to world title, just this nice straight line, and then Alistair Brownlee on his way to one podium in 7 races and just various troughs and challenges along the way.
It just shows the grit that he has, doesn't it? Quickly, before we do move on, I think it's worth pointing out as well that Carl Smith was a wild card. And he finished second in the series. I mean,
very good point.
That's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah, very good point. That wasn't the only race this weekend. We actually had quite a few other races, although they seem smaller in comparison, but they really weren't.
Had some big names
very big names. So one in particular, Laguna Phuket, which is quite an iconic race every year. You often get a lot of athletes ending their season there. Kate Wurf actually took the win on the women's side with Alana Siffer in second and Sean Rainsley in third.
Yeah, now the men's race was won by Hayden Wilde. I think it's the first time he's ever gone and done that race, and he did dominate over 3 minutes to win. A 3-minute margin to win. So fast that the organisers were not quite ready with the finish tape. And then they basically asked him, I think he had enough time before second place Taylor Reid came in, that he could go and do a sort of victory finish line. And actually I saw the picture and it looks quite real, as though he has just finished and he's exhausted. But good acting skills. And third was Roslav Petstov.
Nice. I did actually see that he mimicked a finish tape, like as if there was one there and he went, yeah.
Oh, maybe I saw a Photoshop version.
And then we also had Ironman 70.3 Mossel Bay in South Africa. That was won by Mariella Sawyer on the women's side and Matthew Ralphs on the men's side.
Yeah, and I think that might be the first win for Mariella Sawyer since having a baby.
Cool. Very good insight there. We also had Ironman 70.3 Valdivia in Chile. Again, just the winners here. So we had Macarena Salazar Esqueda. Capoeira.
I was watching that going, I'm glad you're going to do it. I thought you might just quickly go to the men's and let me do the women's.
Do I get a point for correct pronunciation? I don't know. She was the winner on the women's race, and then Colin Hughes in the men's race.
Yeah. We also had Challenge Canberra, which was 2 days of racing, so an Olympic distance and then followed by a sprint distance to give an overall winner. So we've got on the men's side, it was, the same name sort of coming up time again, obviously. So Olympic distance was Callum McCluskey first, Jared Osborne second, and Josh Wooldridge was third. And then on day 2, it was Jared Osborne was first this time, Callum McCluskey. So those two swapped over, and then a different person on the podium, Bailey Tudenham, was third. And that meant overall, Callum McCluskey won, Jared Osborne was second. We knew it would be one of those two, didn't we? And Josh Wooldridge was third.
Yeah. Over on the women's side, we had obviously in the day 1 with the Olympic distance, it was Rochelle Hill that took the win ahead of Tara Sosinski and Jodie Stimpson in third. The second day in the sprint, it was the same order, bar third and second. They swapped around. So Jodie actually took second and Riel took... I actually got that wrong.
No, it's the same three,
completely
but they're all in a different order.
Ignore me.
It's a bit confusing. There's a lot of names.
A lot of races. We should have just gone to the overall results, shouldn't we? Why have we complicated
You could go
things?
there now.
Right. So first place was Tara Sosinski, and then Jodie Stimpson in second and Rochelle Hill in third. Overall,
jig the names round once more.
Overall, Tara took the win ahead of Rochelle and Jodie in third. Whew, we got there in the end.
Yeah, you still with us?
Yeah. Now we have got a big race coming up, actually. It's the final Ironman Pro Series event in Western Australia with Busselton. Now, interestingly, Patrick Lange has actually decided not to race this. Now, this is a big gamble because he's currently at the top of the Ironman Pro Series standings. He could, of course, hang on to that, but all it takes is actually for, I believe it is Matthew Marquardt, Gregory Barnaby or Christian Hogenhaug now to have some good performances should they be racing 70.3 World Championships, which they all have spots for, to get good points and then actually overhaul him and actually could do him out.
So we don't yet know what good is. We've not done all of the
basically
maths. Have we had Torsten doing the maths for us?
Yeah, I'm no Torsten, just to be clear. So second and third, I believe it's Brad Weiss and Matt Hansen are not doing 70.3 Worlds or this race, and therefore they will not overhaul him. But Gregory Barnaby, they are qualified 7.3 Worlds and are close enough in touching distance that should they get on a podium at 70.3 Worlds, they could do it.
Keeps it exciting for us watching anyway.
Yeah.
And for Patrick, maybe sat at home waiting to open his champagne.
Okay, on to our Tri-Spy section, Guess the Athlete. So, last week we gave you this photo. In fact, we were quite generous with how much of the athlete we gave away this week, but I think it's fair because... Well, as you can tell, it's a rather grainy and old-looking
which gives you a clue, but doesn't help at the same time.
No. So, guesses we had we had from 88JHS, Mark Allen in Kona in 1989, to be specific.
Yeah.
I was there racing that
that
day.
is a very short answer, isn't it? I like that one. Dan O'Brien says, is it Mark Allen? Definitely an OG athlete.
Yeah. Keep Left 99 said... Is it James?
Now, I didn't see one written, but a friend of mine was sort of desperate to get the lowdown. I wouldn't tell him who it was, but he was saying, is it Mark?
Oh.
But he didn't write it in. So come on, next time, I want to see your comments there.
Well, me and James do get confused quite a lot.
And you do quite a lot of retro videos. I mean, that's the only reason I could think someone would think it was you.
I got a lot of praise for my interview of Christian Blumenfeld in Kona, even though I wasn't there. So thanks for
I mean, at least we haven't yet been confused. That's something, hey?
Now, we had a few others. DCRX said, Mark Cavendish. Wait, this isn't the right channel. That's the other one.
Joe Brissy says, the GOAT, Javier Gomez Noya.
Ooh. I could kind of see that, maybe.
Maybe the yellow.
One final one. Scott Parry, Chris McCormack, when the Aussies were dominating in Kona. Interesting. Maybe. I think they're just all thrown by the retro gear. It was, in fact, and only one person got this right, John LF2DJ. Peter Reed, the M-frames and nasal strip are the giveaways. Good knowledge.
Yeah, for only one though. That just shows how tough it was.
Well, this
Are we
week,
on to our week easy? Because I don't know, last week, I don't know if you watched it, Mark,
well,
but we were doing on the 3 hard, 1 easy.
I think this is easy. But anyway, here it is. Do your best. Say what? All right, some interesting comments onto the show last week around the discussion for the host of Ironman World Championships, be that Kona, Nice, etc., after the Scott Deroux interview?
Yeah, we've got a fairly in-depth one here from triathlon Tony R5Z. The Ironman CEO says the future of Kona is dependent on what's in the best interest of the athletes in the community of triathlon, but it's actually about what's in the best interest for the community on Kona. Kona is literally the heart of triathlon. There's no doubt that it has to stay there. So with all the money that is now involved in the sport, Ironman simply has to do more for the community in Kona for them to want to have it there. It's the only solution. And this is coming from someone who actually loves the race in Nice.
That's really interesting, isn't it? It has created a bit of a debate in the comments, and it is interesting seeing how many people are still so in favour of Kona. And I think I would ordinarily have said yes, but I was there that year that they...
Yeah, you guys came back and you were a bit like,
well, the year that they
that
tried
year.
to split it over 2 days, and I'm not suggesting they go back to that, but it wasn't a nice feeling in town from some of the locals. And it's interesting because actually we have had one of the locals message. Michael Hemmett says, "Aloha GTN. I'm from Kona, volunteered in the past and watched Lange break the course record this year. You're right that some people complain about the race, but there are still tons of locals that love it." And I think that's kind of important because yes, there were a few, and you always get this wherever you go, there'll be the odd, if anyone does anything and shouts something abusive, that stays
the
and sticks
negatives
in
are
your
always
mind.
heard louder, aren't they?
Exactly.
Sadly.
Yet there were obviously, at the same time, looking back and reflecting, there were loads of people very supportive of it and helping out. And so
watch your space.
Yeah, watch this space. I think.
Can I just add a very quick to say what? So completely off topic. A little bit of a thank you because everyone was just so lovely in the comments, welcoming me back, and it was just it was really nice.
Yeah.
So, and I haven't had time to reply to everyone, so I thought I'd just be lazy and say it here. So thanks,
Yeah, why didn't you get under the everyone? There are a lot of them, though. So no,
it's really nice.
Yeah, great to have you back. Now, also coming up, we've got quite an exciting video, which I think you'll like, Heather. It's the On Cyclone shoes, which we've discussed before.
It's been
So they've been out for a few years now. They're now available, I believe, worldwide, or at least in America as well as Europe. And it's a fully recyclable shoe, but interestingly, it's a subscription shoe as well. So you pay, I think it's £25 per month, and you basically get a shoe as and when you need a new one. It's a really cool setup.
I like the concept.
And we've got a video on that coming this week. But if you'd like to watch something now, well, this weekend we had the world's toughest endurance events going out on our channel. So if you'd like to see some of these crazy ultra endurance challenges, then check it out.
How many have you signed up to?
I've tried, well, as you'll know, having a baby, I'm trying to...
You're doing one right now, yeah.
Trying to go, well, that is one, I'm trying to stay away from some of the long stuff at the moment.
Yeah, fair one. Well, hopefully you have enjoyed the show, and do remember, if you want to help us get to that 1 million, give us a subscribe and a like.